I don't know if you've noticed this, but something weird is happening right now. Normal guys like George, Augustus, Michael, Efrem, Luke, Baltus, Mark, are now living rockstar dating lives. But here's the part that usually blows people's minds. They didn't get it through apps, clubs, or knowing the right people. And they certainly didn't get it by being tech billionaires, male models, or social media celebrities. They did it by mastering a skill almost no one talks about anymore. The ability to walk up to a woman in the middle of the day without feeling like a weirdo and start a conversation. This is called daytime cold approach. And once you understand how to do it well, you gain an unfair advantage over pretty much every other guy on the planet. Imagine having the confidence to walk down the street knowing you can talk to any woman you want. Imagine your friend watching in amazement as you walk up to the most beautiful woman in the room and have her smiling within seconds. And imagine never having to compete in an overcrowded online marketplace ever again. Because this is the reality that these guys are now living. Maybe you're tired of swiping through endless profiles that go nowhere. Maybe you felt invisible in crowded clubs or social scenes where nothing seems to click. Maybe you worry you're not attractive or confident enough, or you just don't know how to meet women the right way. Maybe you feel isolated or like you're missing out while others seem to be living the dating lives you want. Or maybe you're just overwhelmed by all the advice out there that doesn't seem to work for you. If any of that resonates, then you're in the right place. My name's Kristian. 5 years ago, I was at complete rock bottom. I was addicted to porn. I was getting blackout drunk every weekend just to escape the life that I hated. No dating life, no purpose, no direction. And dude, I tried everything. Right? I tried the dating apps, but all I got back were single mums whose idea of romance was a sausage roll at Greg's. I refused to go to nightclubs because I just saw those as this cesspit of low-quality degeneracy, and social circle was never an option for me because I had no fucking friends. So I made a pretty weird decision on the 4th of July 2020, which changed the direction of my life forever. I walked out into Leeds City Centre, no game plan, no script, no idea what I was doing. I don't have a fucking clue what I'm doing right now. Like, this is relatively new to me, like just going out and approaching girls. And I did my very first daytime cold approach. Since that moment, I've gone from a broke, frustrated loser who couldn't pull a muscle to living with more high quality options than I ever thought possible. And it didn't stop with me. I've now personally coached more than 200 men through this exact transformation. Guys from their early 20s to guys in their 50s, from complete beginners to men who'd been stuck for years. I've seen accountants, doctors, lawyers, surgeons, actors, engineers, entrepreneurs, men with every background and personality type go from lonely, stuck, frustrated to living dating lives they once thought only belonged to naturals or celebrities. In this video, I'm just going to show you exactly how they did it and how you can do it as well. Something that I've learned after working with over 200 guys is most men don't struggle with cold approach because they're lazy. They struggle because they're scared of getting it wrong. Maybe like me, you were funneled into the school system from an early age, and you were taught to believe that getting an answer wrong meant you were stupid. And maybe like me, you've carried this fear of fucking up into your adult life. Because be fucking real, when you start cold approaching, you've got that voice in your head. The voice that says, what if the women I approach think I'm creepy? What if other people see me approaching? What if I keep getting rejected over and over again? I get it. Those were the exact fears that I faced when I first started. But one of the biggest lessons that I've learned over these past 5 years is perfection is the enemy of progress. Let me tell you about one of my clients, Augustus. Augustus was a busy professional in his late 30s who had been completely sober for years. For him, meeting women in bars or nightclubs simply wasn't an option, and he refused to compete for female attention and validation on oversaturated, flaky dating apps. I mean, because he traveled a lot for work, he didn't have the luxury of trying to strategically attract women through his social circle. So daytime cold approach became his only viable option. But when he first tried cold approaching on his own, he hit a wall. Augustus was putting massive amounts of pressure on himself to get it right every time. He felt like every approach was this make or break moment. Yeah, either he nailed the conversation perfectly or it felt like a complete failure. So instead of taking action, he'd freeze up. He would overthink every word. He would think too many steps into the future. He was chasing perfection and it was killing his progress. And that's when he started working with me. During our one-on-one in-person coaching experience, I showed Augustus that the way you build a rockstar dating life isn't through flawless approaches or perfect conversations. It's prioritizing imperfect action. It's kind of like speaking a new language, right? At the start, you'll butcher the words, you'll mess up the phrases, you'll just sound like a fucking idiot. But this is how we develop proficiency. And once I gave him the permission to be imperfect, the pressure lifted, the fear started to fade, and he went from overthinking, being stuck in his head, talking to nobody, just wasting hours of his day, to now being able to confidently approach the women who he really wanted on autopilot. And before long, he was pulling real results and living a rockstar dating life without the mental torture he put himself through before.
I've been in sales a long time. I've had a lot of different jobs. Now I have a job that allows me to travel around the world a good bit. So I've done a lot of solo traveling. I consider myself a pretty social guy. And I didn't think this thing, daytime cold approach, would be all that difficult. So about 2 years ago, I decided to actually make a go of it. And what I found out there in the streets is it was actually more difficult than I thought it would be, primarily because of the fear and anxiety of doing the approaches, but also looking back, I just didn't have the skill set and also didn't have the right mindset. So I worked with Kristian about a year ago and came back to the United States. I have developed quite a dating life here in the United States. I've also taken a couple solo trips to cities around the world where I have, again, replicated the same results. If you are thinking about working with Kristian, I would just say absolutely, pull the trigger, go for it, do it. And especially if you are sober or you just aren't into going out to some nightclub or bar trying to meet a quality girl, and you want to have the ability to meet beautiful quality women in stone cold sober during the day, this is the way to do it, and Kristian's your guy.
This is the power of prioritizing imperfect action. Once you start taking imperfect action, just showing up, wading your way through the awkward approaches, the messy interactions, the rejection after rejection. Once the goal is the imperfection, something incredible starts to happen. You begin stacking momentum, and when building a rockstar dating life, momentum is magnetic. Most guys fail with daytime call approach, not because they can't do it, but because they never stay in motion. The guy who talks to one new woman a month will always feel rusty, but the guy who talks to new women every single day stays sharp. It's like the gym. Miss a few weeks, and that first workout back feels fucking brutal. But train on a consistent schedule and your body stays ready, your movements feel natural, and you never have to go through that getting started all over again phase. Social skills work the same way. If you only work them out every now and then, it can feel like you're always starting from zero. But if you keep them warm, then talking to new people starts to feel as automatic as brushing your teeth. Let me tell you about one of my clients, George. When George first reached out to me, he just come out of a toxic relationship. His confidence was at rock bottom and his belief in himself was on fucking life support. So I gave him one simple rule: always be opening. Didn't matter if it was a 5-second chat with a barista or a quick joke with a stranger. The goal was simply to keep his social muscles warm. But one Saturday, George was on his way home from the gym. He already chatted to a handful of strangers. Yeah, nothing special, just staying in motion. And then he saw her. The sort of woman who the old George would have just let slide on by. But this time, because he was in this constant state of social flow, because he'd been opening new people, just starting these quick fire conversations, he just walked over to this girl, gave her a compliment. She lit up, numbers were exchanged, and she then became George's girlfriend. And I'm super happy to announce the two of them are still together over 2 years later. Shout out Katie, by the way. That didn't happen because George was some overnight dating prodigy. It happened because momentum kills hesitation.
I've just become so much more confident, being able to talk to girls, going on dates. I found like a long-term partner now, which has kind of like transformed my life. And I've kind of used those kind of social skills, those kind of skills of understanding the self to kind of really springboard the rest of my life as well. So it's been entirely worth it and kind of radically transformative to my general well-being and life too. So yeah, thanks Kristian, thanks very much. Without you, I would probably still be just looking at American YouTubers doing pickup with my dick in my hand. So yeah, thanks very much.
Similar thing happened with another one of my clients, Luke. Before working with me, Luke was exactly where most guys find themselves when first trying to learn daytime call approach. He'd been binge watching YouTube videos, most of which were mine. Love ya, shout out, subscribe. And he kept telling himself over and over, right, next weekend, I'm gonna march out into my city center and I'm going to talk to some women. But when he actually went out, it was the same story over and over again. Walking around for hours, headphones in, warming up by grabbing a coffee, seeing women he wanted to talk to, but letting them walk past because his chest got tight, his brain froze, and he was shit scared. Then telling himself that one didn't count, or she looked busy, or I'll get the next one, just to avoid facing the fact that fear was running the show. By the end of the day, he'd get home exhausted, frustrated, feeling like he lost respect for himself, just walking around talking to nobody, feeling like maybe call approach just wasn't for him. So he decided to book in a free application call. On this call, he recounted this story, going out, talking to nobody, getting more and more stuck in his head. I was like, yeah, dude, this is exactly why most guys stay stuck for years. Trying to learn cold approach all on your own with no accountability, no feedback, and no support from guys who actually know what they're talking about is a complete waste of fucking time. Yeah, I was a magician for a decade. I spent 10 years perfecting my own social skills, and I still got coached with call approach 6 months after I started because I understood I didn't know what I didn't know. And I said to Luke, dude, no bullshit. I don't give a flying fuck if you decide to work with me or not, but I just want to say it to you straight. You are going to have to take these actions anyway. So you might as well do it with someone who's going to get you there faster. Eventually, Luke agreed. He booked a 3-day one-on-one coaching experience with me in London and instantly became a member of my private network, The Entourage. Over these 3 days, I didn't just teach him. Yeah, I walked him through step by step my proven anti-game artistry system. I pushed him into more cold approaches than he'd ever done in his entire life. By the end of the 3 days, Luke had completely crushed that invisible wall of resistance. He skyrocketed his social confidence and he started stacking real dates with women he actually found attractive. But the biggest shift was Luke now had momentum, and we didn't let that die. Just 1 week later, Luke flew out to Barcelona to join me and the rest of our Entourage members for an in-person Renaissance retreat in Barcelona, simply by using the exact same skill set that we'd already installed in London. Luke kept the momentum rolling, going on 4 dates in 3 days.
I think I went on 4 separate dates in them 3 days. And I had the opportunity to go on one more, but I just couldn't fit it in the night. So yeah, I mean, before my immersion and going to Barcelona, I would have just had no idea it was possible. But now coming out of it, my whole perception on travelling and what the world has to offer has completely and utterly just blown my whole perception out the water, and I'm just never going to think the same again.
Momentum is the antidote to hesitation, but here's the part that most guys miss. Momentum doesn't just make you more consistent, it makes you more you. Because when you're in the flow, you're no longer overthinking every word. Yeah, you're no longer trying to pretend to be this alpha version of you. You're not performing, you're not wearing a mask. I don't know if you've experienced this before, where you've just taken so much action that it feels as though it's like the removal of doubt. It's like the removal of hesitation, where it feels like you can just show up as you are in those conversations. And this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. If you're anything like me, you probably realize the majority of the men's dating advice online is complete, utter, sweaty, trollopy dog shite. Why? Because it focuses on the wrong things. It teaches guys that they need to add more muscle, add more canned lines, add more fake confidence. But what I found to be true is living a rockstar dating life isn't about adding more. It's about removing all of the bullshit. Think about actual rock stars. Guys like David Bowie, Freddie Mercury, Jimi Hendrix. They didn't try to fit in. They didn't cage themselves in society's little box of acceptability. They express themselves without apology. They embrace their edges, their quirks, their flaws, their eccentricities, and the world couldn't look away. And for me, this is what authenticity is. It's about showing up as you are, rather than as you think the world wants you to be. It's not about day game hacks or learning clever conversational gambits. It's about ripping off the mask, burning the dating rule book, putting your stake in the ground and saying to the world, this is me, take it or fuck off. And dude, this is why I get the best client results in the industry. By the way, you could go on Kristian Kasanova testimonials. I've got testimonials coming out my ass. While every other coach is telling their guys to fake confidence, fake identity, fake humor, when I work with my guys one-on-one and then they become a member of my private network, the Entourage, I'm simply getting them to amplify what is already authentic to them. It's not about trying to be universally attractive. It's about leaning in to who you actually are so that the wrong women get repelled and the right women show up faster than you can even process. This is exactly what happened to one of my clients, Efrem. When Efrem first came to work with me, he had this unique fear which was holding him back. He said to me, Kristian, I'm scared that the women I approach are not gonna like me because I'm black. He'd convinced himself that this part of his identity was a disadvantage. But I told him the truth. I said, no, Efrem, the right women are going to fucking love you because you're black. The moment that Efrem stopped seeing it as a flaw, the moment he just started owning it, just fully leaning in to who he was. Again, this is me, take it or fuck off. The moment he started doing this, everything shifted. Efrem completely annihilated his fears of approaching beautiful women in just a couple of days, and he ended up going on more dates through cold approach than he can even count.
Since working with Kristian, I have eradicated bad habits, exploded my sales career, and genuinely been on more dates through cold approach than I can even count. And don't just take my word for it. I've got a whole channel catalog of evidence that you can browse through to see just how effective Kristian is at changing lives.
I've really just scratched the surface in this video. If you want to go even deeper and learn my revolutionary anti-gay artistry system, the exact system which has already allowed over 200 guys to get dates on demand with wife-worthy women, sometimes in as little as 10 minutes, without apps, without nightclubs, without social circles. Then there's a video which has just appeared on your screen now. Click it and you can learn my system for free. This is the exact system that guys pay thousands of dollars for. It's yours right now. Click it.